The 2026 calendar offers the strongest year for movies in over a decade, far surpassing recent release schedules. Superhero legends are clawing their way back, while horror directors are crafting films designed to keep audiences awake at 3 in the morning. Animated sequels are returning for the whole family, accompanied by an unusual roster of attached talent. Robert Downey Jr. is playing a supervillain, Christopher Nolan is bringing ancient Greek monsters to life, and Ryan Gosling is floating alone in outer space with no memory. Meanwhile, Tom Cruise is tackling an entirely new concept. This year avoids any slow build, delivering a constant stream of high-profile releases. Based on the original script context, these are the 20 best films hitting screens in 2026, building up to a widely discussed #1 spot. Subscribe right now if you love movies, because we release lists like this every week, and you do not want to miss a single one. Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, arrives on March 20th, 2026, with Samara Weaving stepping back into her blood-soaked wedding dress. She survived a mansion full of wealthy psychopaths the first time around, leading audiences to demand a sequel that delivers dark comedy, inventive traps, and escalating tension. If you enjoyed the original, this follow-up hits every required note. The schedule then jumps to September 18th as Resident Evil strikes theaters, with Zach Cregger commanding the director's chair. Cregger orchestrated Barbarian and frightened audiences in 2022, making him a smart choice for one of gaming's most recognized franchises. This fast-paced and visceral adaptation is built specifically for hardcore fans. These two thrillers kick off the list without playing it safe, setting a dark tone for the year. Primate presents a gory natural horror slasher about a killer chimpanzee, a concept that actually received greenlight approval for production. The setup sounds ridiculous, right up until the moment you find yourself completely gripped by an execution that balances genuine laughter with panic. Sometimes, an unexpected premise works better than a serious drama, and this killer chimp story proves the point. Moving to October 2nd, Warner Bros. Brings Digger to theaters, featuring Tom Cruise in a project directed by Alejandro G. Inarritu. Inarritu previously orchestrated The Revenant and Birdman, dominating award seasons and leaving audiences impressed. Now he directs a star who actively avoids weak projects, creating a collaboration that clearly aims for major awards. This pairing contrasts nicely with the earlier absurd feature, showing the range of the upcoming cinema calendar. According to the release schedule, The Devil Wears Prada 2 opens on May 1st, with Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway both returning to their roles. The original launched in 2006, meaning 2 full decades of anticipation ride on this sequel featuring sharp comedy and cutthroat fashion industry drama. Streep's Miranda Priestley remains a highly recognizable performance in modern cinema, and the first installment proved you do not need to love fashion to appreciate the film. Shifting to a darker tone, The Dog Stars arrives on August 28th with Ridley Scott directing. Jacob Elordi and Josh Brolin headline a post-apocalyptic sci-fi survival story set in a shattered world. The director behind Alien and Blade Runner understands dangerous atmospheres perfectly, dropping 2 serious stars into a ruined Earth facing looming threats. This late summer release deserves careful attention from science fiction fans. Supergirl brings a fresh approach to the superhero genre, as Millie Alcock suits up as the powerful DC character. The film offers a clean slate, with zero baggage from previous blockbusters and exhausted continuity, allowing the protagonist to stand entirely alone. That isolation helps the story deliver emotional weight alongside highly detailed action sequences, offering a break from standard superhero fatigue. The Bride claims the title of the most unusual project on this list, featuring Maggie Gyllenhaal directing Christian Bale and Jessie Buckley in a twisted Frankenstein retelling. Gyllenhaal's previous work on The Lost Daughter proved she commands strong psychological depth, and applying those precise instincts to monster mythology creates a deeply unsettling narrative. Bale disappears into his roles, while Buckley utilizes her wide emotional range, providing an alternative to standard blockbuster fare with a highly unpredictable atmosphere. 28 years later, The Bone Temple opened in theaters in January 2026, following Ralph Fiennes and Jack O'Connell as they navigate a post-apocalyptic zombie wasteland. The original 28 Days Later franchise launched in 2002 and changed survival horror rules by introducing fast zombies, high tension, and ambiguous endings. The Bone Temple honors that legacy while bringing in two respected actors to ground the narrative. Fiennes generally avoids weak scripts, suggesting this story offers a carefully constructed thriller. Later in the year, Scream 7 brings back Sidney Prescott, with Neve Campbell returning to the role. The studio cut her from the sixth installment over a pay dispute, which led to widespread fan complaints, making her return a notable event for the series. Sidney faces Ghostface again to protect her family, while navigating a slasher mystery built on unforgiving rules. The Scream series thrives on self-awareness, and Campbell's involvement gives this entry a firm foundation. If you are enjoying this list, please hit the like button for the algorithm, as it genuinely helps more movie fans find this video. Woody and Buzz Lightyear reunite for Toy Story 5, continuing one of the most successful franchises in animation history. The original debuted in 1995, and 31 years later, these characters still manage to draw strong emotional reactions from adult viewers. This fifth chapter introduces a new narrative direction, continuing Pixar's careful management of their established properties. The schedule then pivots to Wuthering Heights, featuring Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi in a dramatic romance based on the famous Emily Bronte novel. Robbie currently holds broad box office appeal, while Elordi showcased his dramatic range in Saltburn. Together, they bring a classic piece of literature directly to modern audiences who may never have read the original text. With powerful performances and visually striking cinematography, this adaptation relies on source material that has remained relevant since 1847, establishing it as the primary romance release of the year. Christopher Nolan tackles the Odyssey on July 17th, adapting one of the oldest stories ever written. The narrative is a Greek epic filled with monsters, vengeful gods, long journeys, and a man trying to return home. The director behind Oppenheimer, Inception, and Interstellar is now bringing a towering Cyclops and ancient creatures to life on the big screen. Nolan consistently avoids small projects and safe concepts, making this midsummer release eagerly awaited. Just before that, Disclosure Day drops on June 12th, featuring Steven Spielberg as director and Emily Blunt as the lead star. The filmmaker behind Close Encounters of the Third Kind and E.T. is returning to his favorite subject by crafting another alien feature. Blunt leading the cast ensures the emotional core carries authentic gravity as she consistently delivers compelling performances. These two high-profile directors are releasing major films that will likely drive cinema conversations throughout the entire summer. Spider-Man: Brand New Day puts Tom Holland in the suit once more. Following the considerable box office returns of No Way Home, audiences have been waiting patiently for Peter Parker's next chapter, and Brand New Day promises a clean direction with a fresh narrative, while Holland continues to grow in the role. Very few actors carry this much fan support in modern cinema. Following closely behind, the Super Mario Galaxy movie builds on the 2023 release that amassed $1.3 billion worldwide. That financial outcome proved the viability of video game adaptations, giving this sequel a solid commercial foundation. Borrowing from the Super Mario Galaxy games provides the studio with space-themed worlds and heavily detailed animation styles. Producing a family feature that holds the attention of both adults and kids is difficult, but this franchise has already demonstrated its ability to reach both demographics effectively. The Mandalorian and Grogu bring Star Wars directly to the big screen, with Jon Favreau directing. The prospect of seeing these characters in a theatrical setting is highly likely to drive swift, early ticket sales. The streaming series built a dedicated fan base over several years, making a transition into a large-scale theatrical release a logical business step. The narrative relies on the bond between Mando and Grogu, creating a story that connects across multiple age demographics and making it a safe bet for the studio. Earlier in the year, Project Hail Mary launched on March 20, 2026, featuring Ryan Gosling as an astronaut waking up alone in space with zero memory. The directors behind the Lego Movie helmed this project, blending an unusual premise with the earnest tone of their previous comedies. Based on Andy Weir's popular novel, this space survival thriller incorporates technical problem-solving, quiet humor, and deep isolation into its narrative structure. Dune Part 3 arrives on December 18, reuniting Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya for Denis Villeneuve's sci-fi conclusion. Dune Part 2 grossed $700 million, proving that slower, atmospheric science fiction can still achieve vast commercial success. Part 3 officially closes the narrative journey of Paul Atreides, guided by a director who has earned distinct credibility with global audiences for this specific property. Finally, the calendar reaches Avengers Doomsday, with the Russo brothers returning to direct and Robert Downey Jr. reappearing as Dr. Doom rather than Tony Stark. Placing the man who defined the early Marvel phases into the role of a major comic villain operates as a strictly calculated studio maneuver. The Russos previously orchestrated Infinity War and Endgame, delivering two of the highest-grossing films in history. Doomsday anchors the 2026 release calendar as a prominent commercial event, finishing off a heavily stacked year of theatrical releases. The 2026 schedule offers 20 distinct films, ranging from killer chimpanzees to ancient Greek monsters, and from returning Star Wars characters to Doctor Doom. The calendar provides varied options for nearly any cinematic preference. Please share which premiere will bring you to the theater first by leaving a comment below. If this breakdown added interesting titles to your watch list, please hit subscribe as we release new movie rankings and industry coverage constantly. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.